8th grade is like 12 or 13. 6th
8th
grade
grade's-
is 11.
There's another year in between there, bro.
Okay, so 14?
Yes.
I don't know. You should cut that because that's rude.
Welcome to the Backview Podcast, everybody. It's Ethan. I'm all alone except for wifey, so I'm all alone like I normally am. So this week Will is not with us. He is in Mexico, and he is getting paid to be there. He does not get paid to be here, so I can't be mad at him for not being here. And I know that y'all didn't want another episode of the Ethan Show so soon after the last one.
They wanted an episode of the Hayley Show.
Of the wifey show, yeah.
The wifey show.
So I brought on a special guest. If you can't tell, she is my espoused, my betrothed, my yeah.
The best thing that ever happened to you.
The other side of the coin.
The other Munoz.
The other dark meat.
Anywho, so thank you so much to Will for allowing me to take your place for the week on the Backview Podcast. I'm really excited and really nervous, but I think we're going to have a good episode and hit some really good topics as well. So
Yeah, Backview.
Thanks, Will.
Yep. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already.
Lock it up.
Be sure to share the Backview Podcast with your friends. And if you're listening on Spotify or wherever you get your podcast, be sure to follow us or subscribe or however it works with whatever service you're using. Be sure to go to iTunes and leave a review. Go ahead and rate our podcast. And
how many downloads do you have now?
God only knows. It's like 1 million.
No. How many downloads do you have really?
It's like 1,800. We're well on our way to 2K.
Once you hit 2K, I'm gonna get y'all a cake.
Yeah, it's cake.
Okay.
But what I was saying was, and then if you want to ever, get in touch with me and Will, or Hayley, if you want to reach out to us, and you can just text BPP to 33655, and we'll reach out to you as soon as possible. So let's go ahead and get into it.
We're gonna dive right in. This is the back pew, and we're diving.
I can't swim very well, so.
Actually, Ethan just learned how to swim.
Just learned how to swim.
Like maybe 2 years ago?
Nah, I was 18. I remember. Because it was...
Hardly a doggy paddle, though. Hardly a doggy paddle. But you've done well. You do a nice, beluga whale backstroke.
It's the forehead.
It's the
forehead.
I wasn't going to say forehead, but...
What were you going to say?
Nothing.
Nothing. Welcome to the Back Pew, everybody.
Anywho.
Ding, ding.
So, I guess we should tell them a little bit about ourselves.
Yeah, so we bring our special guests on and we get them to talk about themselves and what they do.
And I love talking about myself.
Wifey likes to talk about herself, and what she does is
joke.
Be my wife. So,
she's
not joking. That. I mean, she does more than that. We have a kid, But as far as getting y'all to know her, I think we'll just run through a little bit of our history. And then we can get into...
we got history.
We do got history, please. The men are talking right now.
So...
No, wait.
Back it up, homeboy.
Once we get through all the semantics and introduce Hayley to the back pew, we'll go ahead and get into some things and give y'all the back pew value that Will promises all the time when he's here. Regardless of me, because this is technically the Will show, and I'm just here filling in.
What?
Yeah.
This is not the Will show. This is the wifey show. Will is out this week. Wifey is in. Not the Will show.
What about Ethan? This should be the Ethan show.
This is not. Okay. Back up. No. Okay.
Just a quick, super basic. We were born in Utah to Mormon family, and when per the Mormon religion, I used to tell this story. I tell the story to a lot of people.
I wore a bonnet.
Yeah, she wore a bonnet. I rode horses. I think that's Amish.
His horse was so
Amish.
amazing. I decided to trade in the bonnet life for a different kind of
what?
life.
No, that's Amish. You're thinking of Amish. I'm talking about Mormons, where They still do arranged marriages. They
You
still
can't
believe
make
in
fun of
Jesus.
other religions on this Bag P podcast.
I'm not making fun of. I'm saying that's what they believe in.
You're making fun.
I'm not.
It's going to be really hard to cut some of this.
No, it's not.
Isn't it? Okay.
This is
So,
definitely staying in there.
what he
This is
mean-
our history.
What he means to say is we should start off by telling a little bit of our background.
Sure, go ahead.
That has nothing to do with Utah or Amish people.
We're not from Utah. We're not Mormon.
Okay, we're not Mormon. We're
Just in case-
Christian. What?
Just in case. So we're Amish people.
Okay.
Just in case y'all don't know, Backpew, Amish people and Mormon people are different.
I don't know why I keep thinking they're the same. Okay, so a little bit of our background. We went to junior high together. We met in the 6th grade. I think we were, 11 at the time. Actually, when I first met you, someone brought you up to me and said, Hayley, I want you to meet my boyfriend, which we were 11, so it wasn't, they clearly weren't gonna make it. But she was like, Hayley,
I liked her.
meet my boyfriend. And I was like, gross. I literally called him gross to his face.
Look, she had met me before.
Yeah, but that's the time that I really remember. I don't remember that. You always say we met at church, but I don't remember that. I don't remember seeing you at church and then being like, oh, hey, you go to my church.
I clearly remember I said, hey, there's that girl that goes to my church.
Okay, well, we clearly...
Look,
what else is a lie?
When she was... The earth is flat, okay?
Hey.
For all you OG back viewers, this is wifey who believes the earth is flat.
I don't believe the earth is flat.
Look. When we were in middle school,
sphere.
Back Pew,
I
I
need to
want
stop
y'all
laughing
to...
like that.
Back Pew, I want y'all to look up Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide if you don't know what it is already. And just like the character Mose, that was her in middle school. She said ew to me, but I said ew too because I was like, Mosby. Gross.
Yeah, so he's always thought when I was younger that I looked like Mosby.
Thank God she grew out of that. Grew out of
I
that.
definitely don't think that I look like Mosby, but
You
also...
don't. Not anymore.
That was pre,
braces.
eyebrow waxing.
Pre-braces.
So anyway, fast forward a little bit. We stayed friends. Well, actually, not really.
Did we?
We didn't really like each other at all in junior high, and then in the beginning of high school. I mean, we kind of were. We were those friends that we could always tell each other anything, but don't really talk to me at school or
yeah, we were church youth group friends.
We were church friends, so we would talk at church, but not at school.
We didn't run in the same crowd.
We didn't. Yeah, we had a different
Definitely
circle
not.
of friends. Ethan. Well, we were both in band in junior high, but still in a separate class. And then when we got to high school, I did the volleyball thing, and he was in band, and then I did the drill team thing. So our paths just never really crossed, except for when we were at church. Then we would hang out there. So it was kind of just convenience. But I would say we were still friends, just like you said, we just didn't run in the same circle.
Yeah, and we talked a lot of smack.
Yeah, we did.
A lot of smack.
I think we texted more and saw each other at church than actually hung out.
Yeah, outside of school and stuff.
So then I don't really know what happened after that.
It was almost like we were neighbors. You imagine
Yeah.
growing up with the girl next door or down the street or whatever, and y'all don't run in the same groups at school, but outside of school y'all are cool. That's pretty much what it was like.
Yeah, and Ethan, he literally, no, that's the perfect example.
You're welcome.
Boy next door. One time Ethan came with my family we were going to go to the races at, what was that racetrack?
It was out in Beaumont.
Yeah, it was somewhere far, and on our way there, it started hailing, and we got stuck in the hail.
How old were
We were super young.
This
we
was
were
8th grade.
Yeah, we were 12, 13.
No, 8th grade.
8th grade is 12 or 13.
8th
6th grade
grade's-
is 11.
There's another year in between there, bro.
Okay, so 14?
Yes.
I don't know. You should cut that because that's rude.
You should cut. I'm gonna make that the intro. You should cut that because that's rude. Anyway, go ahead with your story.
No, I was just going to say that And then I just remember the first time I really remember hanging out with you was when we were all with my parents and you came back to our house.
Oh yeah,
and
we got hailed out. We were on the way
Yeah.
out to Beaumont to watch the races, and we get hailed, and so your dad turned around, and we stayed under a bridge for about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And and then we went back to her house and watched I Am Legend. Her mom
Which
talked
is funny
the entire
because
time.
I hate what do I hate? Aliens.
Yeah, they're not aliens.
Okay.
So
well,
they're like vampire zombies.
I don't like those either.
Yeah, so she didn't like it because she got the monsters mixed up, and her mom didn't like it because she didn't understand what was going on because she was talking the whole time. So this is a
that's
great
boring.
introduction.
I feel like let's get to the good stuff.
Or we could just go from there to there.
No, okay. So
that was a great introduction
Okay,
to
no.
her and her family.
but we were friends, but not like we were friends, but we would talk mess about each other. Like I'm pretty.
We were like bros.
We were literally like bros.
Bros.
Like I remember one time I got called fat at a Christmas parade, and I remember coming and hanging out with Ethan outside somewhere.
And my bros.
And his bros.
I was with the bros.
And I was so sad
boys,
because
yeah.
somebody had called me fat, and Ethan was like roasting a marshmallow or something. He was like, so who cares what they think? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay. And like, I don't know. He just had this way of like making things that seemed like a big deal not a big deal, and I thought that was kind of cool.
I still have a way of doing that, and that's why we fight a lot.
Yeah, that is why we fight a lot, because I think everything's a big deal and he thinks nothing
The
is a big
wind is
deal.
blowing.
No,
So.
not that dramatic, but and so then I don't
Yeah,
know.
and
We
then-
just started like talking on the phone a lot, I think.
Yeah, we started talking on the phone a lot. We texted, and and then I asked her to homecoming.
Ah, yes, the homecoming.
We had a date before that where we went, I had to go buy dress clothes for the dance because we were gonna be taking pictures and stuff. So, and then the dance, of course.
So basically, we met each other around 11. We started dating when we were 17. Got engaged by 20.
At 19.
No, we were
Yeah.
20.
Wrong.
Okay, well, I don't remember, but we got engaged around that time, and then we had got married, and then I had Addie at 21. I was about to turn 22 when we had her. So we've been together.
Well, yeah, no, wait, finish your sentence. Sorry.
We've been together now about 8 years total.
Yeah, but I make a constant point of not counting anything before I do.
Probably because he was talking to other girls before I do.
No, it's because... No, it's just trashy to include things that don't count. And so then we were married at 21... 20.
20.
We were married at 20. That's how I know we got engaged at 19.
You're right.
Bro, we might have got engaged at 18.
No.
No?
No. We were 19.
But yeah, so I was working at Discount. She was working at I was working at a Discount Tire. She was working at a massage place doing the front desk stuff for the ladies in the back. Mm-hmm. Like
ladies in the back. Mm.
No, that's horses in the back.
Oh, no ladies in the back, please. That'd be terrible. Anywho, so
yeah, so we had humble beginnings, honest
our poor
beginnings.
parents, they probably were terrible. Well, not so much your mom.
No, just your mom.
My mom was like, "Are you sure you want to get married so young?" And looking back, I think we were so naive to think,
Oh yeah,
like,
this is gonna be great.
This is gonna be great 24/7, and I'm just gonna get married, and nothing's ever gonna go wrong, and that is just not.
Boy, were we wrong. So,
So a little bit, I think what we wanted to talk about today.
Sorry.
Really?
I'm sorry, I had a tickle.
I think a little bit what we wanted to talk about today, kind of post background on us, was the topic of missing God in general.
Yeah.
Because, you always, when you're growing up, have this idea in your head of what you think your life is going to look like. And then when it doesn't turn out that way, you can either be disappointed and wallow in it, or you can do something about it and make a choice and move forward. So, I don't know. Do you want to tell them a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we kind of do the background to introduce Hayley and introduce us as a married couple, but also because in that time transitioning from high school through engagement to married,
We had a lot of issues.
yeah, some things
We
went
had
on,
some
but
issues.
most of our issues were pretty external, as far as us as a couple, but they did influence some bad decisions on our part as a
Yeah.
married couple.
Not saying like, oh, we wish we didn't get married or anything
Right.
like that. Like, I don't regret getting married young at
Not
all.
at all.
It
Not at
made
all.
me a young mom.
It's safe. I like it. It's safer. It's secure.
Yeah, I feel very secure with who I'm with and where I'm at, and that's not any. Would you say you still have like regret, or would you say
Regret about getting married?
No, about like what we're about to talk about, like with,
Oh,
or have you kind of let that go?
the regret's a funny thing. People think regrets are something that you can like let go of, so you don't have any regrets. But like, it was a mistake. So
Yeah.
if you admit that it's a mistake, then technically that's a regret. So do I let it bother me anymore? No, not at all.
So, so basically, right after we got married, he was already living in Tulsa at the time, going to Bible school, and I would have followed him pretty much anywhere at that point. I just thought it was cool getting to go to another state, so we moved to Tulsa. And how long were we married before we got pregnant with Addie? Couple months?
Nah, like 5 or 6.
5 or 6
6
months. And so as soon as, we were living our life up in Oklahoma, we made new friends. We were
Going to church.
Yeah,
and-
we were really enjoying it. We felt like we were getting established there. And
Yeah, she started to like her job,
yeah, I really started to like my job
making
and
friends and stuff. So.
the people that I was working with. And then, we got pregnant with Addie. And I think that's when everything kind of shifted, because then I kind of just put my future blinders on. I wanted to be home. I wanted to be near my family, which is normal. I don't.
Yeah, no, yeah, it was normal. I was scared too. Here's the thing, we were
young.
and
We're still young.
We were raised different, and we went into the married thing thinking like, oh, we'll wait a couple years before we have kids, and we can be smart. We weren't smart, and
Well, you were not smart.
not smart. And here's I don't want to say that. And because we were raised different, and we kind of brought two different things to the table. So naturally, you bring strengths and weaknesses to the table when you get into
On
any
both
kind
sides.
of any sides, in any deal with any business, just going to have some coffee, or a lifelong commitment like marriage. One of my strengths was not being a jerk, and not trying my best not to be this like, I'm the man, you do what I say. Also, another one of my strengths was that I did at the time as well, know the voice of the Lord. And I feel like God talks to me. I know when he's talking to me, what he says, and I can take that to the bank. But on the flip side of those strengths were also some weaknesses, where I would let my wife I wouldn't want to argue with her. And I would listen in kind of a way that I did more than sympathize, and I actually took her fears as my own. And so where I was thinking like, oh, I'm going to Bible school. I have a job that's, a 9 to 5. I have a good job. And because of this Bible school and good job situation, I saw this potential to go out and, change the world, like any young person wants to do. But then I hear my wife saying, I don't have the job that I want to do for the rest of my life. I have a baby growing in me that I didn't plan for, and
Which were all decisions we made.
Right. This was,
like,
this
we
was all
weren't
in
feeling sorry for ourselves. We were just looking at the natural situation that we were
Right.
in. And I literally, like, you could say, like, I wanted my mommy kind of thing.
Yeah, we got kind of scared when we found out we were pregnant, and
I had no idea what I was doing. I was so young. Again, like, we're still young, but I was so young and just thought, oh, we're just going to have a baby and it's just going to be great. And I mean, as much as I was laid back about that, I was still like, oh my God, like, I need to be near my mom. I need to be near my family, my brothers, my sisters. Like, because to me, we needed that support because we couldn't do it on our own.
Right. And so that's what I was saying. Like, I took that fear on as my own. Like, that freaked me out. I don't know what to do. My wife is a little uneasy. I didn't plan for this. I don't know. You know, I want to be, I'm not trying to argue. I'm not trying to fight about this or be so domineering or anything. But
we let fear creep in.
We let fear creep in hardcore. And actually, I at one point, so we made plans to move back from Tulsa to Houston.
Yeah.
And before the baby was born. And in making those plans, I remember praying about it one day, and I was like, you know, because this is the back pew, you know, we talk about things of the Spirit and stuff like that. I prayed and I said, Lord, you know, should we even move back? Should we move back? Things are kind of like not working well. Should we even move back? And he said no. And then I got up from that place of prayer, and I told my wife to keep making the plans, stick it out.
Yeah, and you know, looking back at the situation now, is nothing about moving back to Houston was working easily.
Right. We even had a friend of ours come to move us up, and he lost his car on the trip.
Yeah, it broke down.
He cleaned out his savings getting it back to
And
his
you know,
place.
I don't really like to say that, I mean, maybe I don't know well enough, but I don't feel like God makes bad things happen.
No. Good segue here. God doesn't punish people when they're making mistakes. It's that he can't protect you from the consequences.
Yeah.
And so that opens the door to all manner of bad things.
Yeah, so basically, fast forward, we do move back to Houston. I think I was like 6 months pregnant at this point. My parents helped us move.
I feel like you were a little further.
Yeah, maybe a little further.
Third trimester for sure, somewhere in there.
We ended up moving into an apartment we absolutely hated.
From the jump.
Yeah, from the jump, I walked in and I said, I hate this. And we had a year contract because, you know, we signed everything over email and everything because we were moving from out of town. And as soon as I walked in, it just gave me this, like, you know, feeling in my gut, like, ugh, like, I don't want to be here. Like, then I was really like, I want to be with my mom, you know, because my mom, I guess we could talk about that later too, but like, my mom's always been, you know, my safe place. I guess you could say I don't feel like I had been married long enough to understand, you know, what it really means to like peel away from your parents and cling to your husband and stuff like that. Like at that point I still was like, no, mom. But yeah, we hated that apartment. And I mean, good things still came out of that situation, which I'm really grateful for. I mean, we had Addie and we enjoyed her being a baby. And we got to watch her grow. But let me tell you, we did not, as soon as that year contract was up, we were like, nope.
Yeah.
Not doing this. We're out of here.
Like on the first, like, so you pay for a month, and you have that month. We did at the beginning of the month instead of staying through what we paid for. And, you know, we were just, like, young and naive. We could have, like, fought it, I'm sure. But we didn't know how to do that. You know, we assumed there was lawyers and stuff. We're not trying to get into all that. We're broke anyway. But
we're just trying to make it.
It was at one point while we were living there, I was driving to a job that the Lord told me not to take, but I took it anyway because I was scared. In a car, I was driving in a car that the Lord told me not to buy, but I bought it anyway because I was afraid to say no and get into a fight in front of my in-laws, in front of my family, and I even turned it into not fear. I turned it into faith. Like, oh, I have faith for this amount of money every month. Yeah, whatever. Yeah. And, you know, I mean, you conflate things and you make these decisions split and hindsight's 20/20. You don't really see it when you're doing it. But I was driving a car from a car that I should not have had, from an apartment that we should not have been living in, to a job that God didn't want me to have. Yeah. And I was miserable. I didn't hate my life. My kid was healthy. Yeah. There were still a lot of things to be grateful for. I mean, me and my wife, like I said earlier, a lot of our problems were external, and they might have influenced some of our internal issues, but we were always on the same page. Like, we would just have to talk it out and be like, okay, we agree, actually.
And I think too, we were hopeful for the future, and we knew that this was temporary, and people go through way worse things than living in a terrible apartment. But just for our situation, for us, up until this point in our marriage, literally everything that we did, it was motivated by fear. And I mean, it just one thing after another, you know, and you would think like after the first few things you'd learn your lesson and be like, okay, maybe I won't make this decision out of fear, but it took a year and a half before we started.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, you know, we did that whole thing when we were living at that one place that we didn't like right away, and that I spent that whole time just kind of trying to forgive myself for
and
leading,
then that was like
for
an
leading
internal
bad.
battle.
Exactly, like for leading bad. Because I mean, we were having good times. It's not like I could see the consequences of my bad decisions, and that me and my wife hated each other. You know, there's people out there that do that, but we didn't have that. So it was only when I got to thinking about.
We tried to stay grateful.
It was just a matter of it was internal for me. But then we moved out of there and moved into her parents' house,
which was such a blessing. Like as soon as we moved back into my parents, I literally, the weight off of my shoulders for, you know, paying for an apartment you hate, and just they helped so much.
Yeah, it was like going from the deep end of the pool to, you know,
the shallow
where you could stand. Yeah, it was night and day. But and we spent our time there, kind of recuperating. The baby, you know, Addie was not even a year, right? She was turning a year right when we moved in. Yeah, she
was turning a year right when we moved in, and I think she was around. I don't know how old she was when we finally decided to move out, but
yeah, I'm trying to think of like birthdays to like reference it. But I mean, we got out of there, and in that time we you know, started going back to the church that we were going to before we got married. We moved away.
We didn't know what else to do other than start from
scratch. Really. Yeah. So we changed jobs. We started waiting tables. You know, we kind of worked our way up into an apartment, and even there we were still. I guess by that point we moved into the place after her parents. We weren't really reeling from the mistakes anymore. We kind of solved everything.
Yeah, we had accepted, you know, because there was a lot of guilt in leaving Tulsa because we felt like it was a mistake. So for a long time, we held on to the thought, you know, maybe we should move back to Tulsa.
We had that for a long time.
That's where we were last happy. That's where this was working out. But now looking back, had we moved back to Tulsa at the time, we would have been moving back in fear, and it still would have been a catastrophe.
Exactly. Your heart, out of fear. Yeah, what your motivation has so much to do with whether or not God can bless you. Because if you believe him, he can bless you. If you don't believe him, he can't bless you. He can only do so much. And there's the mercy of God in that, but that's more sovereignty than getting things done. You know, most people would call it luck. So that's just chance, really. Yeah. But if you want the blessings of God, you have to walk in line with those, and you have to walk by faith. And if we had moved back to Tulsa, that wouldn't have been it. And actually, when we left her parents, I was out of the job that I shouldn't have been in. I was in somewhere else that I feel like God opened the door for me to be in. Her too. We had lost the car, but because of insurance, we paid it off.
Because of a flood.
Because of Hurricane Harvey. Yeah. The car was gone. So the car that we shouldn't have had, and we were
God literally was like, "Let there be a flood to take this Mazda away."
Why does he talk like a alien in Star Wars?
I don't know. I just feel like he's got a sense of humor. Oh. So he's like,
yeah, he's got a sense of humor.
I know you're not Noah, but bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Yeah. So basically, now we fast forward to where we are now, and that is we live in a townhome in a town that we love.
We have more room. We have more room for the same amount of money as the place we were before, which we really liked. We really liked that place. We have, we're blessed to have 2 vehicles without monthly payments on either of them. They run well.
Whoop whoop to both sides of the parents.
Yeah, right. And I mean, our daughter is healthy. She's growing up fast. She enjoys her daycare. We like her daycare. We're just in a better spot. But all that to say, if you miss God,
you're gonna go through some stuff.
You gotta accept the consequences. If the Bible says that it rains on the just and the unjust, and if it rains on the just, it definitely rains on the unjust. So you got to kind of read between the lines in those scriptures like that, where it's like where you read it and you hear chance. It's not so much chance as it is being on this planet, but being on this planet, also being in the fallen world and everything, if you miss God, if you disobey God, there's not much he could do for you.
Yeah. But it wasn't until we got our hearts right.
Exactly.
We had to have
yeah.
a heart change first before we could get, sorry. We had to have a heart change first before we could get out of where we were. It took some major, okay, I'm not going to think like this anymore. What's done is done. Let's start with where we are and move on from here. And, you ask for forgiveness, and now our lives made a turn. It could have been one way in Tulsa, but now it's going to be a different way. So now you have to ask God, okay, God, use me with where I'm at right now in my life. Even though I messed up then, this is what it is what it is. So
Right. And God never, there's two words that God never says. Rusty makes this joke, our pastor in Galveston, he makes this joke all the time, that God never says two words, uh-oh. He never says uh-oh or whoops or you can't surprise God. He knows your thoughts before you put action to him. And so his plan is still there. It's just a matter of getting back into a position where you can take advantage of it, or where he can take advantage of giving it to you, and y'all can work together and be in the partnership that he wants you to be in. But that takes a heart change. And I think one of the good things about our marriage and what marriage should be is that even though I would pray and I would say, I forgive myself, I'm over it, God, I know you bless me, and go through it all. But then something would happen, and we would just be talking about it, a situation, and I would realize my feelings were still there. And sometimes you kind of have to, me and Will talk about all the time, fake it till you make it, sometimes with the faith thing. And there is some truth to that. But if you fake it but don't believe it, then it's not gonna work. If you're wishy-washy, I mean, if you're wishy-washy, in James it says that let somebody ask in faith and waver in nothing. And anyone who wavers is unstable and shouldn't think that they're going to receive anything from the Lord. So if you're faking it till you make it, that means that you believe it and you're stable and you're not wavering. But sometimes people think fake it till you make it means just say it and fake it and then have this over here. That's what I was doing. And the reason I say that's a good thing about being married is because she was the one medium that would help me identify when I was kind of lying to myself. Or she would catch a phrase or catch me being angry about something, and she'd call me out on it.
And you the same. You do that.
Yeah,
to me too.
yeah.
Although I don't take it very well because I don't like correction.
I value correction when it comes from a particular person. If she says something to me, I'm like, okay. If my in-laws call us out on something, I'll be like, all right. I'll talk about it. I'll think about it. That's food for thought. My mom will. That's why we have such a good friendship. But because I know where it's coming from. She's my wife. She's not going to just hate on me. There's people out there, and I'm really blessed to have a wife who doesn't hate me or doesn't want to belittle me or treat me, talk down to me or something like that. So I know that she's coming from a good godly place. So.
We do play around.
Oh, we kid around a lot. My mom tells me that your dad would never talk to me like that. Your dad would never hit me.
Every time we make a bad joke and we know that it's too far, we're always like, ooh, your mom wouldn't like that.
Yeah. We should have filmed that and send it to your mom.
That's an ongoing joke that we're ooh, Birdie wouldn't like that.
Or I'll say something snarky and she'll swing at me and hit me on the arm in the same spot every time.
Get him in the same spot every time.
I would never, your dad would never say anything that makes me want to hit you.
We love you.
I'm like, whatever.
That's funny.
But,
but through all of that, I know it kind of sounds like we're complaining, and we're not. We're just kind of telling you what happened from the get-go, and all of the decisions made out of fear up until that point had been terrible for us and terrible for our life. And I think, too, with having a child, that's also when the thinking, it had to start getting adjusted, because it wasn't just about us anymore being naive and doing whatever we wanted to. We had this child to take care of.
Right.
And we were way in over our heads, way in and over. And I don't know, I just think not everybody, but having kids changes you, and it changes your priorities and what you see as important. So
Yeah. Like she said, we're not like complaining or anything. It's just it's literally day and night. The decisions that we made out of fear,
Right.
and the decisions that we made out of faith. The results,
Right.
you can't argue with results.
Because even, okay, so I'll give you an example. Ethan finally, well, to me, I felt like it was a good job that he'd take. What was the job title? I forget.
I was working on the ship channel here in Houston, and
Yeah.
I was inspecting the chemicals, and so basically it was a plant job. I was getting plant pay, the potential for plant benefits.
I mean,
but I
we
was working plant hours.
we finally felt like, oh my gosh,
That's
we can.
if you're not from the Houston area, that's the big thing around here. You know, working in the plants is what maybe 50% of everybody that I talk to wants to do, men and women, because it's job security. If you can get a little experience here and then get laid off, that's still job experience, and people will take you. And you can work with contractors. You can work W-2. I mean, there's just so much potential in there.
And
a lot of people want that. That's the thing around here.
It had been such a blessing to even get offered the opportunity.
Yeah.
And so we were super grateful, and, you know, we finally felt like we could breathe a little bit. I remember Ethan getting his first paycheck, and we just, like, we're like, oh my gosh, like, this is so much money, which really it's like...
Yeah, it was more like, oh, we just went and bought ourselves dinner and didn't feel bad afterwards. You know?
But then he got this other opportunity working for another great, amazing company. But at the time, all I saw was dollar signs. All I saw was we finally got comfortable, and you're going to risk that? Like, I couldn't understand why we would take a step backwards. But then I realized that, like, something clicked in me, like, this is fear. This is fear talking, and what has this done up until this point to our lives? And so he would have done, I believe he would have done anything. Like, if I would have been like, no, don't take that job, he wouldn't have taken it. And if I would have been like, yeah, take it, like, he would have, because he wanted to make us happy and me happy, and he wanted, you know, it's that fight thing. You don't want to fight with your spouse, so you'll kind of just, you know, do whatever so that way.
Yeah, and I remember praying about the job offer in particular, and I would have been taking a pay cut. It wouldn't have been crazy.
No.
It would have been noticeable. But I remember praying about it and where I was and the time and everything, and the Lord. It's not like the Lord said, "Take the job."
No, but you had like more, a peace about it.
Yeah, it was more. You're missing an opportunity if you don't. And so I was like, okay, well, this is where my faith is. I'll talk to my wife.
Yeah.
It wasn't because, you know, I think a lot of people too have misconceptions about the way the Lord will lead you. Everything, if you hear from the Lord and it doesn't sound like the God of the Bible, maybe go read the Bible some more. He says that my sheep know my voice, and a stranger they don't follow. And he says that faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of God, hearing and hearing and hearing. That's the premier way that he talks to you. And so that attitude of, this is an opportunity. This is something you're going to want to get in on.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a command. Side note, me personally, I've been trained up to think that it's, you know, day and night. But I think sometimes there's a little gray area in there too, because it has to be appropriated for people's lives.
Yeah.
So some things, even though it's a nudge, but it's more of an invitation. It's a command, like, do this because this is the consequence of not doing it. But it's not like it's not like the Lord lit a fire into my butt, if you know what I mean, to change jobs. Because that job was a blessing. We were in a good spot, you know.
But I can tell you, when you brought it to me, I was pissed. I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, finally some job security. But then...
I knew it was serious because she started out like that with that tone of voice and then brought it down. Yeah, but she brought it down because she knew it was serious too.
Yeah, well... I took a step back and I looked at the situation and I was just like, okay, this is fear that I'm feeling. He is going to get a better schedule at this next job, you know, on Monday through Friday. He'll be with us more because this other job made it to where we didn't see him hardly at all. But at the time I was like, well, at least our bills are paid. Like, that is what mattered to me at that moment than actually spending time with my husband, because I'm like, well, we got to survive. Like, because we had been living in this constant survival mode.
Yeah.
So I didn't know how to not be...
We've been digging
yeah.
We're clawing our way up for
exactly.
a while.
So I was like, oh, we're finally getting somewhere. And, you know, so I'm like worried about the money and worried about this and worried about that. So then I remember Ethan got out of the car because he's like, look, this guy, he wants me to give him a decision this week and I need to let him know. And he was waiting on me you know, like I said, if I had said no and been like, no, you're not doing that, I feel like he would have said no, but I also feel like maybe at this point he would have been like, also seen the realization of our fears.
There would have been another conversation.
Yeah. It wouldn't have been so easy to just been like, okay, you're right, no.
Yeah, and that's something I learned from my parents, and I'll be honest with you, Backpew, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, because every decision that I've made on her influence, whether it be big or, you know, the difference between two cereals, I understood that I was making a conscious decision to make my own choice as well, to put my will with hers.
Yeah.
I've never really tested it to where you butt heads, because we've always either been in fear together or in faith together.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
it's
you know,
not usually one or the other.
But,
it's not like you are in faith and I'm in fear, or I'm in faith and you're in fear. Like, it just is what it is. So yeah, I just remember taking like a deep breath and being like, you know what, God? Like, I literally like talked to God, and because I was angry, and I feel like if you can't go to God with your like true feelings and true thoughts, like, what's the point? You know? So I just remember being angry and being like, really? Like, finally,
really, God?
Really? That's how I talk to God sometimes. I'm like, are you serious?
I do too.
Like, are you joking right now?
Yeah.
He finally got a good job with that pays good, and now you want him to go over here? Like, I went off on God, literally. And I just remember after that taking like a deep breath. But even though I was like, la 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 la, like, who does that with God, right? Like, he literally built the world, and you're like, let me tell you something. And I just had this...
He'll listen, though. He listens.
I just had this weird... I mean, it was a peace about it. And even though I didn't like it, it was peaceful. It was like, okay, we're going to do this, and I'm not going to worry about it, and it's in your hands, and well, make of it what it was. So then Ethan accepted this new job, and he loved it. He was so much happier. He was sleeping more. He was with his family more. And funny thing, our bills were still getting paid.
Yep.
And actually, which it makes me laugh now looking back at it, he actually makes more now
than I would have at this point in that job.
So it's just kind of one of those things, like, look at God. Like,
look at God.
Look what...
Hashtag look at God.
Look at God. Like, look what he can do for you when you finally just, you know, make a decision in faith and trust in him. It's kind of like, have you seen that picture before on Facebook where it's like the little girl's like, no, I want him, and it's like a small teddy bear that she's holding on to, but behind Jesus is like a huge teddy bear that he's going to give her.
No, I haven't seen that, man.
Well, it's kind of a good, it's cheesy, but it's kind of a good analogy for like life. You know, you're so comfortable with where you are at in the moment that you don't, you know,
realize where Jesus is trying to take you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's true. We would have missed a huge opportunity because of the job that she has now.
I'm working with
because
him.
of me. Yeah. And
I don't have it because of you. I have it because of our boss.
Yeah, but the only reason he thought to hire you was because of...
Okay, anyway.
So.
Moving on.
Superhero. Best husband ever. Hashtag look at God. No. But,
yeah, so it's kind of crazy. So now, I mean, I'm not saying that we don't have, like, issues now. We definitely deal with a lot, you know, just like everybody else. We're human beings. We make mistakes.
Yeah, nobody's perfect.
And we're still growing and learning. We're only 25. Like, we're so young.
Super young. Will's the old man.
Will's the old man. Not us.
Not us. Will's the old dog.
He's the grandpa of the
Grandpapa.
Mm-hmm. Grandpa Willard. William?
Buck.
Old Bucky.
Buck tooth.
No, he doesn't have buck tooth.
But he's from Alabama, so basically.
Alabama.
He was one of the chosen few to be born in Alabama.
Alabama. Sweet home Alabama.
So, but, you know, all that to say, Backpew, like, whatever you're going through, if you're faithful, whether this is for people who are married and who are not married, for divorced and separated, widowed, whatever, if you're faithful to the Lord in your heart, he will be faithful to you in his. And the thing about his heart is all encompassing. He knows the beginning. He's Alpha and Omega. He's the beginning and the end. I mean, he holds it's a cliche little kid song, but he literally holds everything in his hands. And he gave this little bitty bit to you, and that's the small amount of time that you have on this planet.
Like, what are you going to do with it?
Exactly. You got to make it worthwhile. There's nothing wrong with working in the plants. There's nothing wrong with, devoting your life to the financial sector or joining the military or anything like that. But God has a plan to bless you greater than what you can. And if you don't let him, probably won't happen.
Because I do believe, too, I mean, God made those people to work in the plants. Like, we have to have those people that work in the plants, and he will bless those people that work in the plants. I mean, he blesses the janitors, he blesses the teachers, like all different kinds of things. It just wasn't what, and I'm still trying to find that out too. What's my kind of purpose in life? But if I've learned anything up until this point, it's like, stay faithful. Like, you will eventually, I mean, you just have to. You have to you're going to find out what it is you're supposed to do when you're faithful. You read your Bible, you pray, grow a relationship with God.
And we got some pretty good advice. I don't remember where. I think we were living with your parents at this point. We were feeling pretty down. But we went to the elders of our church, and we went to dinner, and we talked to them about it and kind of poured our hearts out. Like,
trying not to cry.
Yeah. In the Mexican restaurant, and we were... just talking to him, like, we messed up. We missed God. I disobeyed, and I didn't even give her the chance to encourage me like a good husband would, like a good wife would, because that's what she does now. If I tell her what me and God talk about, I tell her what I bring to God. Back, P, if you remember, a while back I fasted. I took the questions to her, and I said, do these sound, this is what I'm going to talk to God about. Do you have any qualms with this? And then when I was done, I immediately went to her. I came downstairs. I said, this is what God told me. What do you, are you down or not? You feel that in your spirit? Does I identify with you? And because we're a team, but I was acting like we weren't. I was acting like I was like her dad. You see a lot of married couples, the guy acts like the dad of the woman, or the woman acts like the mom of the man.
Yeah, and it never works out.
It never works out because it's one-sided, and that's not why you get married. It's just not. You get married to work together.
Yeah.
So
which we've had to learn too.
We had to learn that, and. So just to save somebody some trouble,
In our short little years that we've been
we're so wise.
We're so wise with our 5 years of marriage.
But all that to the advice that we got from them was, because I was coming to them with, the story of Elijah and how he lost his place when he got scared and ran away, and they said that was the Old Testament, and God had mercy, and his calling was still his calling. It just ended a little faster here on earth. It just changed. He still had the call of God, and it was like it was like part 2 of a movie. Like, I didn't even know, I hadn't even thought of that before, and, because I was reading it from my guilty perspective.
Yeah.
And so if you're going to God and it's just you and him, he's faithful. But if you're jaded already, maybe reach out for help. Reach out to the back pew, reach out to the elders of your church, reach out to someone that in your community that is close to God, that you look to as a godly man or woman, and just kind of pour your heart out. Tell them where you messed up, tell them where you can do better in your heart, and, trust God that they'll lead you in the right direction.
Yeah.
But it really helped us. That was kind of the turning point for me, was you're looking at it from a jaded perspective. And then from then on, it took time.
Oh, yeah.
It took time.
Absolutely.
It wasn't like it changed overnight, but that helped grow my faith. And I kept reading, growing my faith. We grew our faith together. We helped each other.
Yeah.
And now we're in a place where it's like the worst thing that's going on in our lives is, I think my dog has fleas. So, which is super annoying. But it's happened before. So we got this. Flea collars, shampoo. We got this.
He's our first one, though. So.
Oh yeah, he's definitely he's the baby.
He's the baby.
He's the baby.
I mean,
the
Addie,
annoying baby.
Addie's the baby, but like she I don't think she cries as much as he does.
No.
So yeah. So if you're listening, you're wondering, well, why did they tell us this really boring story of their life? It's because if we can help at least one person who's maybe not going through that great of a situation, or maybe just is not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, we could not see that light at one point. I literally, and it's hard too, because you have to try to fight the thoughts that come with your bad decision making.
Yeah, that guilty thought process, that guilty feeling, it definitely opens the door to all kinds of...
Which that maybe we can talk about on a different episode. Yeah, we don't want to get too depressing.
Oh, let's get depressing.
But...
In the arms of the angel.
That was good. Ooh, hit that high note. Do it for the back pew. Gotta know we had a Celine Dion on the back pew.
Jesus, he like broke my mind. All the gains all the way up.
We got a Celine Dion.
Oh yeah,
on the
Celine
back
Dion.
pew.
Voulez-vous chanter?
That's not Celine Dion.
Oh, I thought that was Celine Dion.
That's Christina Aguilera and Pink and Maya. That's literally everyone but Celine Dion.
Not only did I not listen to 90s music, I didn't listen to 90s women's music.
Yeah, but you know what he listens to now? 93.7 The Box women's music.
I do enjoy some, what's it,
Hip women.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I do like that song. I do like that song. T.I.'s in it, so it's a manly song. You know, hey.
Just because T.I.'s in it doesn't make it a manly song.
Wrong. T.I. OG. He's like Pimp C, but not dead.
Who's Pimp C?
The dead guy from UGK.
Who's UGK?
I want to sing any of the lyrics because they're all awful. She would know though if I started playing it. Like, no, I think I'll just stop, drop, and just have us looking at each other. But
what
yeah,
else shall we tell them? Maybe we can. Our life is kind of boring. We're not that exciting, but we have learned a lesson.
Look, we're not. I didn't bring her on to talk about our lives just because I needed to fill the time. I did need to fill the time, but
I was like, yes, you did.
But there is something that you can learn from our experience, or reinforce what you already know about the faithfulness of God. And we, on the back pew, we try to talk about everything. We want it to be family friendly, so some things are going to be inappropriate. But
let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Was that the Jackson 5?
I actually don't know who that is. My music history is terrible, which my stepmother which my stepmother would hate me for because she's a music fanatic. She's a movie fanatic, a music fanatic.
I think she's a fanatic.
She's a fanatic about everything, and she knows so much about pop culture fanatic. I would say.
Pulp. No, that's not it. No, it's pop culture. Yeah.
Were you about to say Pulp Fiction?
Yeah, that's a movie that I never saw.
I've never seen it either.
Anyway, I didn't bring her on just because I needed to fill the time, but because I wanted to stop. I wanted to enrich. I didn't want to do another Ethan show.
He basically needed me to not make him boring.
No, it's not that. I can talk about marriage because I'm married, but I really think that I find value in talking to my wife, and I wanted to.
But not when his shows are on.
Yeah, don't talk to me.
Don't talk to you when your shows are on.
Yeah.
Or if you have your headphones in.
Yeah.
If I say something with headphones out, you're like, what?
It does.
Like, oh, I'm sorry. Am I interrupting?
It does get a little ridiculous. You know what else is ridiculous?
What? Ow.
Push your glasses up.
Okay, that again, abusive.
4 eyes.
Abusive.
Just kidding. But look, we just wanted to, God is faithful in every aspect of your life, and one thing that me and Will talk about on camera and off is how marginalized sometimes people can act. Believers can act with God. It's like, oh, he's over here, he's not over here. And a lot of that comes up because of the conversations that we're having. I'll ask Will, or he'll ask me, is this even okay? What does God say about it? And stuff like that. And it's just stuff that we don't really get into in our everyday lives, but we should.
Yeah.
And I firmly believe that starts with, if you're married, having God in the center of your marriage. And there's lessons to be learned from our marriage that we learned the hard way, and other lessons that we learned by listening to other people and growing in faith. So
if there's anything we can take away from this, it's be grateful and be faithful, suckers.
Can you say that again while looking at the camera?
Be grateful and be thankful, suckers.
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 Anything else, babe?
No, but thanks for sitting in with us and listening to the Back Pew. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that way Ethan can get a cake for the 2,000 downloads.
Right. Share it with your friends, everybody. Be sure everybody knows about the Back Pew podcast. I know Will says this a little more than me because he pays attention a little more than me to other podcasts out there. And there's a lot of good podcasts. There's a lot of good talk shows and places that you can get a lot of spiritual content from. But we are trying to cultivate a community here that is not afraid to talk about anything. We're not trying to hurt anybody's feelings, and we'll apologize if we do, but we're not going to hold any punches either. Mm-hmm. So we want to talk about everything, and I wanted to talk about marriage, and so I wanted to bring my wife on. So I hope you all enjoyed it. She will be back at some point, and will be back next week. Thank y'all for joining us on the Back Pew.
Good night.
Usually we say peace, but hey, wifey's here, do whatever.
Peace out to my girls. Peace out. Wipe out. Fall out. Boy.
Ugh. Bye, everybody.